Well, if you had come into this game and told me that the Vancouver Canucks were going to get a point against the league best Florida Panthers with Bo Horvat, JT Miller, Conor Garland, all out with COVID protocol, oh, and both of their goalies, I would have been happy with that. So you know what? I'm happy. I almost put the win music here, but I didn't. The Vancouver Canucks lose this one 2-1 in a shootout against the Florida Panthers, a team that is literally one of the best teams in hockey right now, basically the tops of the league. They go out against Edmonton last night, basically get shelled and still win 6-0. They find ways to win. They come out tonight and they run into Spencer Martin, of all people, who holds his own in his first game as a Vancouver Canuck as being basically an AHL goalie. And the Canucks earn a point out of it. So we'll break this game down as we always do. I'll give you my thoughts. Honestly, more pluses than minuses tonight. And then we'll go to you guys, the people. Get your thoughts in now. I'll scroll back up to the top. I'll read them. By the way, I'm going to call someone out right now. Debut Hunter, I know you're in the chat here, said, do you think Parker will still stream after this upcoming 9-0 drubbing? Wow. No faith in Spencer Martin, who was absolutely fantastic, allowing one goal on 34 shots or something like that. Come on. All right. I'll give you my thoughts here on Hockey Talks Night on Friday, January 21st. Canucks Panthers, the first Spencer v. Spencer battle in NHL goaltending history. Spencer Martin on one side for the Canucks, Spencer Knight on the other side for the Florida Panthers. The Canucks with a depleted roster. They basically have one scoring line put together of Pettersson, Höglander, and Brock Besser. They didn't score tonight, but that was the only line that was really designed to potentially score some goals. The other ones were just sort of pieces of players, just sort of like, hey, let's try this and see what happens. If you had come into this game and you said, oh, the Canucks are going to lose this one 5-1, I would have said, yeah, that probably sounds right. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, this is exactly the kind of game the Canucks are going to win because it doesn't make sense. The world doesn't make sense. And they kept this one pretty interesting. So quick overview. This one's going to be really quick tonight because honestly, not a lot of notes here. Pettersson took a hooking call like 14 minutes into the game. That's my first note. Huberdeau hit the post. Then Martin made a really nice save on Sasha Barkov. Right after it was killed off, they make a weak call the other way on Tippett to sort of even up, and the Canucks score. It's a shot from Quinn Hughes from the point. A good old double tip goes off Pearson, then off Jason. No real chance for Spencer Knight. That's so tough. Canucks have a 1-0 lead. A pretty good first period for the Vancouver Canucks. I had the notes open, and apparently I hit the wrong button and I closed them, so I no longer have them open. But I think they were outshot something like 10-8 in the first period or something like that. I'll see if I have it here. Shots in the first period were 11-8 in favor of Florida, but a pretty even period to start the game. And if you're the Canucks, 1-0 after one, you're in a pretty happy spot. So we go to the second period. Canucks go to the power play, 4.5 minutes in for a cross check, look to make a 2-0 lead. Tanner Pearson with a great chance, all alone from the point, beats the goaltender, doesn't beat the post like a quarter of an inch that way, and that's a goal, just doesn't find the way through. Höglander had a breakaway off of a really nice setup pass from Elias Pettersson. Pettersson had a great game, by the way. His confidence is so much better. He's just putting the puck between guys' legs constantly. He looked really good tonight, but Höglander got robbed on a breakaway, and then Florida had a point shot as well that also hit the post about 11.5 minutes in. So both teams catch a post in the second period. Nothing goes in the net. We go to the third. Canucks on the penalty kill early, and it's Niels Höglander, a bad tripping penalty in the offensive zone. And it's kind of a ticky-tack call, but when the other team has taken like 4 penalties and you've taken 1 to this point, they're looking to call something on you, so you can't give them the opportunity to make that call. Höglander takes a tripping penalty, and the Canucks penalty killing woes continue. It's Sam Reinhart tying it up. Pass gets broken up in front. Good play by Highmore. He breaks up the pass across. Unfortunately, he tips it right to Sam Reinhart, who's in front, and he tucks it in, and Florida has the game tied at 1. Canucks get a power play later on. A bunch of good chances. They don't get anything going. Either way, it's 1-1. We're going to overtime. Canucks have secured a point. The Canucks overtime was okay to start, and then the Highmore, Lamico, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson went out there against the Gunners of the Florida Panthers, and they got just trapped. They got hemmed into their own zone. For about 3 minutes, they were stuck on the ice just getting circled by like Barkov and Huberdeau and all these guys. They were getting changes and doing a bunch of stuff. The thing is, Florida kind of forgot to score in this time. Like they were so focused on keeping possession and wearing the Canucks out that they never really got a high danger opportunity from it, which helped the Canucks out. So we go to a shootout. Brock Besser opens it up with a nice goal, goes backhand and scores. Huberdeau tries the Forsberg, goes too slow, kind of looked lame. Pettersson would have scored that if he had tried it. Pettersson, I was hoping he would try to be like, oh, Huberdeau, you tried that? Let me show you how it's done. He didn't do that. He tries to go 5-hole, catches the pad. Lundell scores. Hughes doesn't, although his stick work was great. I like Hughes in the shootout. I think it'll work if you keep going back to it. And Barkov wins it with a little one-hand sort of flippy-do past Spencer Martin, and the game's over 2-1. But I do, like I said, I have a lot more pluses than minuses in this game because the Canucks genuinely kept up with the Florida Panthers for the second time in 10 days. The Canucks have kept up with the Florida Panthers and at least made it interesting. The first game, they were probably the better team on the road, and they got nothing out of it. Tonight, they are without 3 members of their top 6 in Horvat, Garland, and Miller. They are without both of their goaltenders in Demko and Halak, and they come out, and again, they keep up with the Panthers. Sure, the Panthers are on a back-to-back, but like I said, the Canucks really have the odds stacked against them. They play a pretty good game, and they get a point out of it. So let's go over my pluses and minuses. My first one is that the effort level was there. The team wanted it tonight. The Vancouver Canucks were going after pucks. They were aggressive on the forecheck. Their feet were just moving in general tonight. Like there was a lot of good, just good sequences where the puck would go into the Florida zone and they'd be right on it. They weren't letting Florida just walk in and try to counterattack. They were genuinely playing really well. They were winning battles. And the biggest line from this was that Niels Höglander, Elias Pettersson, and who was playing with him, Brock Besser line. They were going for it. Niels Höglander just wanted to shoot the puck. And sure, he took that bad penalty in the third period that led to the tying goal, which is unfortunate. But I'm sure if he hadn't done that, they probably would have found another power play to give them somewhere at some point. Niels Höglander had 6 shots tonight. Brock Besser had 3. Pettersson only had 1. But that is 9 shots from the line that they're kind of relying on to score goals. You couple that with Quinn Hughes shooting it from the point 1 or 2 times on that line, and they were getting lots of pucks on net. Niels Höglander was desperate. Like he was trying so hard to score. In 15 minutes, 6 shots on goal is really, really impressive. Also, the Tyler Mott line, I thought played like Tyler Mott on his own. Played very well. He had 4 shots on goal. Alex Chason had 4 shots on goal. Lamico had 4 shots on goal. That line was playing really, really well. My biggest plus of the game, though, is Spencer Martin. The first star of the game, Spencer Martin, in his first appearance, like his 5th NHL game or something stupid like that as a 26-year-old, he comes out, he stops 33 of 34 shots against one of the best teams in hockey, the Florida Panthers, against guys like Alex Barkov, who had 4 shots on goal. Guys like Jonathan Huberdeau, who had 3 shots on goal. We are talking about some of the best players in hockey going up against an AHL level goaltender who steps up after the news last week of Halak getting COVID. Just yesterday, Demko, or was it this morning? I don't know. Time is a flat circle. Demko, yeah, it was yesterday. Demko testing positive for COVID. So it's Martin in the game, DiPietro on the bench, and Spencer Martin played really well to the point where there's no shot Spencer Martin does not play the next game for the Canucks, which is, when is that? When do the Canucks play? Sunday, 7 p.m. against the Blues. You're going to see Spencer Martin again. Honestly, just kudos to the kid. He was fantastic tonight. Golf clap. Golf clap for Spencer Martin. Other big pluses, they kept up with the best team in hockey. Like, that's good enough for me, right? They kept up with the Florida Panthers in a game where, like I said, all the odds were stacked against them. They're missing half their top 6. They're missing their top 2 goalies, and most teams only have 2 goalies. And like I said, yeah, Florida took care of Edmonton last night, but the Canucks had nothing going for them, right? We are talking about a team that is at 500, right? The Vancouver Canucks coming into this game 18-18-3 against the 27-8-5 Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers had 59 points coming into this game, while the Canucks had 39. They had 20 more points in the standings. And the Canucks were missing half their top six. And they were missing both of their starting goalies. And they got a point. And that is just straight hustle, battle, and determination. I used this word last year when the Canucks came back from COVID, and I think they played, it was either Toronto or Ottawa. It's probably Toronto, but Ottawa's clicking in my head, where I used the word valiant, where the Canucks had come back from like 2 or 3 weeks of postponed games, and they came out and they won a game. I think it was against Ottawa, and I said it was a valiant effort. And I want to use that word again, because genuinely, they could have easily given up in this game and been like, yeah, well, what were we supposed to do? We're against Florida with half our team missing, right? But they didn't. They went out there and they worked hard and they got a point and they moved up the standings. They didn't physically move up the standings. They're still in the same spot, still 6th in the Pacific, but they increased their playoff odds, right? I mean, you think about it, the Oilers lost again yesterday. The Stars won tonight, which is unfortunate, but I mean, the Canucks weren't supposed to beat Florida and they didn't, but they got a point out of it. It was, I tweeted at the end of the second period that it had been an inspiring 40 minutes thus far. Again, because of the circumstances and because, it being on Hockey Talks night, to go out there and just battle. And I thought it was a great sort of, not message, but sort of a message, like a physical representation of a message that the Canucks were sending, that they weren't just going to turtle over and give up in this game. And this game leads into some more big games, right? Like I said, they play the Blues on Sunday, and then they have 3 games against contending teams for these playoff spots, right? So if they can go out and they can keep up this momentum and they can show that they are a strong team and they go out against the Blues and maybe they win that game, maybe they lose that game, but at least, if they get it close and show that they can keep this momentum going. Because then they have the Edmonton Oilers, who are falling apart faster than the speed of light. Then who are right in that battle in the Pacific Division for a playoff spot. The Winnipeg Jets, who are going to be competing for the same wildcard spots the Canucks are. And the Calgary Flames, who are faltering a little bit in the last couple of weeks as well. So if the Canucks can keep this momentum flowing and use this game as a building block, because I'm going into that dressing room, if I'm on the team, I got my head held high. Because we just, like I said, kept up with the best team in hockey. And why can't we beat the Edmonton Oilers or the Winnipeg Jets at this point? So I loved that. And my other big plus for the night, and obviously I just sort of wanted to touch on it, Hockey Talks night in remembrance of Rick Rippon, of course, 10 years ago now, which is crazy. And I know that our sort of generation, and I know lots of people who watch this are a little older, but the world's kind of crazy right now, right? It's so easy to catch yourself in this sort of doom scrolling thing where you're scrolling on Twitter and there's COVID and there's, threats of invasion of Ukraine. And there's so much stuff going on that it's easy to become overwhelmed. So if that's happening to you, log off if you need to, and talk to someone, because it's such an important topic. And I really love that the Canucks are sort of a leader in this space. The fact that every night they do a night like this, where they have someone like Kevin Bieksa come out and have that little speech before the game. It genuinely is very important. And it's just a super important topic nowadays. Anyways, the minuses from this game, not a lot, to be honest. Like I said, they kept up with the Panthers. The penalty kill, again, that's 6 straight games now they've allowed a power play goal against. Honestly, I think the penalty kill played fine. They only allowed 2 power plays against, and they played okay. It was kind of a fluky goal, but eventually you got to stop letting power play goals in. And it didn't happen tonight, and it's what led, both goals that were scored this game were on the power play, right? Special teams continues to be the story for the Canucks. And the other minus is the fact that half of the top 6 is in protocol and both of the goalies are in protocol with big games coming up, right? Like I said, the Oilers on Tuesday, the Jets on Thursday, the Flames on Saturday. Those are 3 huge games. And I don't know the COVID procedure by heart, right? It's so confusing with the border. And I know some people are trapped down there. Some people are up here. I think Demko's up here. Halak's stuck down there. Horvat's stuck down there. It's all a mess. Miller, I think, is up here. Who knows who's going to be available and when, because even if it's 5 days, they still got to get negative tests. It's such a mess. And the Canucks are going to need to battle. And that's scary. But genuinely, with their performance tonight, they at least showed that it's doable. So with that, we'll get to your thoughts, your questions, your opinions, all this good stuff. So if you guys have your thoughts on the game, get them in now. I'm sure there's already a lot of comments here, so I'm going to scroll back and read those. If I don't get to you tonight, I mean, this might be a little bit of a longer one. I don't know. We'll see. But let's get to your thoughts, your opinions. I'm going to scroll down to where the game ended, which is right here. Dimitri saying it's a shame shootouts to decide a game are the worst. I think that's fair. I don't like shootouts unless the Canucks win them. Then I think shootouts are great. The thing is, shootouts are good for the game. Shootouts to decide a game can be annoying, especially, I mean, you look at like things like the World Juniors when they decide medal games off that. I hate that. But for regular season games, the game has to end at some point. And let's be real. Every single person is super invested when the shootout's going on, right? It glues people to the screen. It's good for the NHL. Shootouts are good for hockey because they genuinely, no one is like, it's a shootout. I'm just going to lean back and watch. Who cares, right? It's a shootout. No, everyone's on the edge of their seat, excited because we might see a beautiful goal, or regardless, the game is in the balance. With that play, right? You don't get these 3-minute sequences in overtime where teams are skating in circles and not taking any shots on net, which is sort of what we saw tonight, right? That's the argument for the shootout. I don't love it, but you can't deny that it's very engaging and people get glued to the screen because of it. Zach saying, great game. Proud of our boys for getting a point with half of our players in protocol. Fully agree. It is a game to be proud of. It's like I said, you can be frustrated after a loss like this because you were so close to getting the win and so close to, I mean, if you had held them off the score sheet, or if you had, scored in the shootout another time, right? You're that close to getting the win. But on the other hand, you can also look at this game, like I said, and be like, look at who we were against and look at the situation we were in. We should be proud of ourselves and we should carry that into the next game. And I hope that's where the Canucks go. Obviously the post-game interviews will sort of lean into that. I haven't seen anything yet. I don't have Twitter open while I'm doing sort of my monologue. But I'm sure Boudreau is going to be pretty proud of the boys tonight after that game. Aisha was expecting a blowout, so not mad at it. Totally fair. Debut Hunter. Can't believe you put up a fight like that tonight. Wow. Seriously. Yeah. And again, it's just fight, right? That's all it is. Like I said, it's so easy to turtle over and die in a game like this. But they didn't. Lots of love for Spencer Martin. Help saying, I'll take it. I don't care. In order to make the playoffs, you need to win or at least milk a point. That's fair. Yeah, you got to get points where you can get them, right? And again, if you had come into this game and said, hey, you're going to if the Canucks can get a point against Florida, I'm taking that every single day of the week, especially with how the other teams are faltering right now. The Elder, this is an interesting one. Get rid of Halak because we've got Martin. I don't want to put too much into one game. But trade Halak, right? Like that bonus next year is a little concerning, right? Basically 1.25 mil. If he plays another 2 games this year, he gets onto the cap next year. And the Canucks might need that money next year. And if this is Spencer Martin, and there was a couple times he looked a little shaky, but he stayed with the puck and he played really well. The thing is, you have a couple more games, right? Martin's probably going to play 2 more games, maybe 1 more game, but maybe 2. And then you can make your decision. If he genuinely looks like he can be a backup caliber, sure, make the move. Why not? BL Tubes, I'm more disappointed Martin didn't get the W. Oh, I forgot to put that in my pluses. The celebration that Spencer Martin did after Chason's goal on the power play, this one right here, that was awesome. That was such a cool, like they had a little video from behind Sportsnet did of him being like skating away from the net and doing one of these. I love that stuff. That's so awesome. You love to see people just having fun, right? Especially this guy who's only played a handful of NHL games. he wants to win, right? So that was really, really, really cool to see. Debut Hunter saying, even though we didn't hit the score sheet, I feel like Pettersson was playing a bit of a pseudo captain game tonight. Maybe. Yeah, he definitely looked like he wanted to sort of lead the pack, right? And he played a really good hockey game. And again, there was just a lot of times where there'd be a guy on him and he'd make a play through a guy. He had to be the number one center tonight, right? He has been sort of off the hook on that, trying to bounce back from the issues that he's having. And so he's been given the opportunity to be like the number 2 left winger or the number 1 left winger, or maybe the 2C. But tonight, Horvat's gone, Miller's gone. You have to be the guy. And he played really well. And again, he didn't hit the score sheet, which sucks, right? But he gave himself the opportunity to. He genuinely played pretty well. He played 22 and a half minutes tonight, and he played really well. I was pretty happy with Pettersson's game tonight. Aisha, do we get anyone back before St. Louis? I don't think so, because I think the people who we lost earlier, I think it's 10 days for people that were in the States. And again, don't trust me on this. I might be completely wrong. I think it's 10 days for people who were in the States, and the people who were in Canada, it's 5 days. But I think Canadian citizens in the States might get an exemption. So Horvat might be back I don't think for St. Louis though, but maybe the game after. Maybe. I don't know. Go on Twitter and search stuff, which I don't think is going to help anyone. I'm sure there's got to be someone's got to have it figured out. So go do the internet research, which I'm not an investigative reporter. So I can't do it, but I wish you the best of luck. Erwin saying, an impressive game overall when the Canucks should have been dead to rights. Hang in there and looking competitive. Can't really fault getting a point out of it all. Yep. Fully agree. Like I said, every single thing against the team, and they played really well. Agam giving credit to the fourth line, saying what a freaking game by the fourth line. Absolutely shut down one of the best lines in hockey. The offense needs much improvement. Look, I'm not going to criticize the offense too much when basically 3 really good players are in the lineup, right? We are talking about a first line caliber winger in Conor Garland, a first line caliber winger / center in JT Miller, and a good second line center in Bo Horvat. That's a lot of offense missing, right? You have guys like Sheldon Dries on like your third line, which I guess that was sort of the fourth line tonight, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like that's the issue here. You have to have a guy like Sheldon Dries playing 9.5 minutes. Justin Bailey was in the lineup, although he only played like 6 minutes tonight. You barely noticed him. You had to be paying attention. Alex Chason had to play 15.5 minutes. Tanner Pearson playing 19 minutes. That's not a recipe for success, but it's the situation the Canucks were in, and they played really well. Fun Q saying getting a single point was hopeful. I think you meant to say, okay, I've translated. I've got it. Getting a single point was hopefully, no, I got it. Trust me. Getting a single point was hopeful even before we got COVIDed. This is pure gravy on the cake, and I am in a great mood. Yeah, it is gravy. Absolutely. Although I don't know why you're putting gravy on your cakes. That kind of sounds gross. Dustin saying we should have put Höglander in the shootout. I'm okay with who they put out. Hughes hasn't really had shootout opportunities, but he's so shifty that I'm totally okay with putting him out there. Höglander had his chances to score tonight. He had 6 shots on goal. You can't convert on those 6. Who says you're going to convert on the shootout one? I don't know, but I genuinely think Hughes could be really dangerous in the shootout. You saw how like his stick handling, right? And yeah, the goaltender stayed with him, but not every goalie will. I kind of like the idea of Quinn Hughes there. Elder was hoping for Podkolzin as well. I think Podkolzin's a little bit of ways down the lineup there. Probably not too far though. Probably after Höglander and Hughes. Blitz saying Canucks lead the league in 5v5 goals against per game. By the way, side note, that's crazy. But the penalty kill is so bad that the overall drops to 13th. It's got to be a personnel issue at this point, right? Yes, but not tonight. I think tonight the penalty kill was fine. Again, only 2 chances. That one goal was kind of a fluke, right? Like it was the right play by Highmore. He just happened to bat it out of the air to the player who scored. It's unlucky, right? But the last while, like I said, they've allowed 5 or 6 power play goals in their last 5 games. And it's continued from Travis Green to Bruce Boudreau, where seemingly everything has improved a bit under Boudreau, except this. So I think it sort of lends itself to the opinion of it's personnel. It just doesn't seem to be getting better. Hopefully they can figure something out, because it is handicapping the team so heavily. Flaming Storm says this was painful. Too much fight for a loss. They can't score. Again, I'm not too worried about them not scoring, because they were missing a bunch of people, right? Like I said, Horvat, Garland, Miller, all missing. That's a lot of your scoring prowess. And sure, Horvat doesn't score a lot of goals. Well, he scores a few, but he gets a lot of assists, right? JT Miller's a point-a-game player, right? I mean, he's in the game. Maybe the Canucks score another goal. So I'm not too worried about lack of offense, again, in a game like this where they held Florida to a goal. Right? Let's look at that. That's really impressive. Let's see here. Agam saying just a week ago, we lost 5-1 to the same team at full strength, and now we lost 2-1 shorthanded. Now, that's true, but also Demko had a really bad game against Florida. Like his worst game he's played in a long time against Florida. The Canucks were the better team analytically against Florida that last game, and they looked like the better team. And tonight they were the slightly worse team, or maybe about even, but they got the point. And I like to look at sort of expected goals, and can I exclude OT? I don't think I can, although OT is very minor here. Florida expected goals at all situations was about 55%. If we go to even strength, it was actually 49%. So at 5-on-5, the Canucks were basically dead even with the Panthers analytically. We're talking 6-3 high danger chances. By the way, 6 high danger chances in a game is very low. The fact that they held the Florida Panthers to 3 high danger chances at 5-on-5, and all of them were in the first period, is outstanding. But yeah, it is weird that the defense is playing better for some reason. Let's see here. Fun Q saying you can argue Florida was tired from Edmonton last night, though, and I have mentioned that. The Oilers killed in shots, but we still earned that point. Now I don't need to see the Panthers until the Cup Finals. I like it. Yeah, Florida was tired from Edmonton, and the Canucks were missing 5 of the most important players in their lineup. So I think that's, if anything, more than generous enough for Florida to be given the benefit of the doubt here in having the upper hand. The Elder 2 points up on Edmonton. Never would have thought that a month and a half ago. Yeah, if we go back to December 4th and the Canucks are 8-15-2, and the Oilers are on an absolute heater. And yeah, if you had told me, hey, mid-January, the Canucks are ahead of them, that's wild. And again, like sure, the Oilers have 4 games in hand, but they have shown no signs that they're going to be winning those 4 games in hand at this point. Cam saying really nice crowd tonight for half capacity. It sounded loud on TV. Good game overall. Spencer impressed me overall. Trade to the Oilers. Yeah, I did sort of mention that. Well, not on the show. But yeah, maybe that's why Tyler Myers made that one really bad pass with 25 seconds to go in the third period, trying to build up the Spencer Martin highlight reel with that terrible giveaway so that they can get more from him for a trade to the Edmonton Oilers, who need a goaltender. Yeah, no, the crowd was good. 9,000 people there. Every other seat, that's fine. Sportsnet did a terrible job on the audio again, which they seem to consistently be doing. They've had games last week on the road where the audio was like 2 seconds ahead of the video, which is annoying. And then today they forgot to turn the on-ice mics on. But hey, they figured it out by the second period, which I guess is good. Talk about Halak. The Elder said bye-bye Halak. Chris Lee said, you really think we're going to sell Halak because of Spencer Martin? No. I don't think Halak wants to go anywhere. He's got a full no move. They can't get anything for him. If he wants to stay here, he'll stay here. They could send him to the AHL and keep Martin up, but that seems kind of risky. And it seems like it could really hurt the team, but we'll see. Kai saying, great effort from the Canucks. I would have liked to see Podkolzin up the lineup with Dickinson and Pearson instead of Chason. I hate to say this. Chason played pretty good tonight. Chason looked like he had legs under him. He looked like he had some energy. I hate saying, but I genuinely think that Alex Chiasson played okay tonight. But yeah, I too would like to see Podkolzin up the lineup, right? He plays 9.5 minutes tonight. I might like him to, take a bit of that ice time from, Matthew Highmore played 20. Now keep in mind, 3 minutes of Matthew Highmore's 20 minutes were in overtime. So that's kind of unfair. But yeah, I'd like to see Podkolzin get a bit more time too. Although in his 9 minutes, he was all zeros, across the score sheet, which is unfortunate. Lee saying the Canucks were giving the Panthers any time and space. It's the Boudreau system. Yeah, the Boudreau system is looking good. And again, the thing is, systems can do great, but if the team isn't committed to it and the team doesn't put the effort in, it doesn't matter. So that's a big plus, is that the Canucks genuinely put that effort in to make a difference. Roadster saying that Spencer Martin had never let in less than 3 goals in his previous NHL starts. Great game for him. Honestly, if you had told me the boys are going to lose in a shootout, I wouldn't have believed it. Yeah, fully agree. And yeah, Spencer Martin, great story, right? Excellent game from him. Totally fair statement there. Krishna saying the Canucks really stood on their heads to play well in front of Martin. How do they avoid crashing from this game and playing just as well against the Blues? I'm not worried about like a crash, right? They just had 2 days off, and sure, it was a travel right back from Nashville. It's a few hour flight. You can adjust to that pretty quick. Especially because you're going back in time. Although that actually might make it worse. I don't know jet lag. But they played well, and I think they can ride that, right? What do the Blues look like? They played in Seattle tonight. They shut out Seattle 5-0. So the Blues are coming in with 2 straight wins, pretty solid wins. Again, tonight, an absolute drubbing of the Kraken. The Canucks just showed that they can keep up with teams like Florida and Tampa and Washington, and Nashville. Why not St. Louis, right? St. Louis, they're playing well, right? They're second in the Central. They're now ahead of the Predators after beating them a couple of nights ago and beating the Kraken tonight. But the Canucks just beat the Predators. So why can't they beat the Blues? Sure, right? Let's see here. I'm going to pick a few more because we're going to wrap up fairly soon. Dimitri saying, is Podkolzin in the doghouse with Boudreau? Seems like he's getting less and less ice time, and Chiasson was ahead of him in the lineup. I don't know if it's doghouse more than just being a rookie and being less trustworthy, which I don't love. Again, I'd love to see Podkolzin playing more than Chiasson, but Chiasson did play 6 more minutes than him, basically 60% more. But Chiasson scored a goal, right? And the other thing is Chiasson's on the power play, which is 3.5 of those 6 minutes. So that's a bit of a difference, but still, I would also like to see Podkolzin get some more play time. Let's see here. Why is this something saying I feel bad for Martin? He was so happy after that first goal. I don't feel bad for him. The guy just got to play in the NHL, play his dream, earn a point. I bet they're showering him in the dressing room with praise, right? I bet they're in the dressing room being like, man, you killed it. Like, again, you just stopped 33 of 34 shots against the hottest team in the NHL, right? The team with 61 points, the best team in hockey. You held them to 1 goal. And then sure, you lost in a shootout because Sasha Barkov beat you. Oh no, right? Like, I bet he's feeling like he's probably frustrated that he lost, but I bet he's feeling pretty good about the way he played. And I bet the team has given him a lot of love out there. Krishna saying, knowing Boudreau and his optimistic approach towards things, what do you think he said in the dressing room after the game? If it was me, I would say, look, we gotta stop letting in goals on this penalty kill here. But they played really well again against one of the best teams in the league. I think you're pretty positive about this game. You're saying, hey, if we play like this in those 3 upcoming games against Calgary, Edmonton, and Winnipeg, we have a very, very good chance of winning all those games if we can play like we did tonight. And if our goaltending keeps us in games like we did tonight, all we have to do is convert on more chances, right? We're getting 30 shots on goal. We're getting power play opportunities. A couple more of those power play opportunities click, and a couple more of those shots happen to go in, and we can hold other teams to 1 or 2 goals a night. The Canucks are giving themselves every chance to win these games, and I think you're pretty happy with that. Let's see here. BLTube saying Canucks got to put some goals up Sunday and get that very handsome man his first NHL win. That would be very nice. Hopefully they can get him a win. Roadster giving the shutout to John Pond, Juho Lammikko, quickly becoming one of his unsung heroes on the team. Yeah, another good night from him. And again, surviving that overtime. I don't know how many of you guys play hockey. And again, I play at a low level, right? I'm talking beer league. Being on the ice for 3 minutes without a whistle, that sucks. Especially heading into your defensive zone, because it's not all physical movement. It's a lot of mental too, because you're trying to cover passing lanes and prevent shots on goal. Really, you're trying to prevent scoring chances. It's not just getting to the spot. It's also knowing where to be. When you're that tired, it is so easy to make a mistake. It's so easy to pinch on the wrong guy and leave someone by himself. The fact that the 3 of them survived out there, Lammikko, OEL, and who was it? Who was out there with them? Highmore. The fact that they survived that, very impressive. Again, the Panthers didn't really try to score, which is weird to me. But yeah, Lammikko continues to be pretty solid. Hey, 50% in the draw tonight. Again, 3 shots on goal, 3 shot blocks. That's a pretty good night for a 4th line center. Let's see here. Fun Q wanting to admire Barkov's move for a second. Yeah, the one hand on the backhand, it is easier on the backhand than the forehand when you do that, but the one hand sort of, because really all it is you get it over to this side and it's sort of a push flick, but you have to flick hard enough that it doesn't go, you don't not get enough of it and it goes wide, and you got to get enough of it that goes up. It's really impressive. Now, these are very strong, smart NHL players who have probably tried this a lot, so good on him. But yeah, it's not an easy goal to score. Oh, was Clay on TV? I missed it. If someone could send me that on like Twitter, if you have a video of it or a picture, I'd like to use that on Canucks After Dark to give him, to sort of dog him for it. Kai saying not going to complain too much about reffing, but my biggest pet peeve in the NHL is when refs call all these iffy penalties early, but don't stay consistent all game. Yeah, they made 2 bad calls, one on each side early, right? The penalty, like literally both penalties were not good penalties. I think it was on Pettersson, and then it was on who got the penalty for them? It was Tippett. Tippett took a really ticky-tack call right after that, right? They evened it up, and then they went back to like normal NHL calling things. At least they were kind of consistent in that way, but I don't know. It's definitely an issue that every single sports league has. Wow, I'm sad I missed Clay on TV. Chonger saying, why do you think Bruce sent out Lammikko and Highmore for OT? Not sure if that was a good decision. Play your best players in OT. Well, they started it with Pettersson, Hughes, Besser. And then who are you going to put out? Right? You say play your best players, but they're going up against guys like Barkov and Huberdeau and Ekblad, right? I mean, your best players in that situation, who are you going to put out? You're going to put out like Höglander and Pearson or Chase on? The Canucks are kind of short on guys here, honestly. Like Mott got a shot in OT as well. But they don't have Horvat to put out there, or Miller to put out there, or Garland to put out there, right? I genuinely think that that's why Lammikko and Highmore were out there, because basically you put them out there while guys like Barkov and Huberdeau are out there, because we're saying, okay, if we can survive this minute with our defensive players, then we can get our good guys back out against their defensive players and try to it's sort of like tennis, right? You're serving and you're returning. That's sort of what they're trying to do. In that case, I genuinely think Lammikko and Highmore, yeah, they're not going to score for you, but their job isn't to score. It's to kill off a minute of OT and get your better players back out there, because OT is way more strategic than it is sort of skillful at times. Let's see. We'll pick a couple more, because I realize I've been going for 40 minutes now. I'm going to skip a few here. Sharms saying, do you think they kind of locked up more defensively today due to knowing it's not the usual goalie? I'm sure that's a part of it. You also see a lot of times, though, teams, when they have a goalie they're not confident in behind them, they play worse because they're trying so hard to bail them out and they make mistakes because of it. That's definitely could be a part of it. But I also think it's sort of the way they've been playing a lot lately, right? They've been playing really good 5-on-5 defensively. Sorry, I'm just kind of scrolling. Because lots of people were talking amongst themselves and I'm losing my spot. Sharm saying, do you think Bruce would have had Podkolzin, Pettersson, and Höglander together if we weren't shorthanded? Yes, I do, because that line played so well together the last couple of games. But the problem is then you have no one for Brock Besser to play with. So they went back to sort of the old setup, which I think was totally fine. Totally fine. Okay, I'm finally almost up to date here on questions. Lots of criticism of Lamico and Highmore being out there. Interesting. We'll take like 2 more questions. Sharm saying Lou should have been our e-bug today to make the contract worth it. Yeah. I mean, hey, Spencer Martin did fine. Agam giving shout out to Myers and OEL being overpaid, but they've been great this year. Yes. If we don't look at the Tyler Myers giveaway with 25 seconds to go, then they have been great. But yeah, I do want to mention before we wrap up here, guys, I did update. I'm sure you guys can see it in the chat here. For anyone who is a member, I don't know if we do have we have some members in here. I updated the logos next to your name. So they're like the Canucks logos, but the newer member you are, they're the latest logos. And then the older you get the older logos, which I thought is kind of cool. If you're interested in becoming a member, shout out to our new members. By the way, a couple people joined, Coach Rob rejoined, Lee joined a couple of days ago. Thank you guys for joining as members. If you're interested in that, there's a join button down below. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit like. If you missed any part of this, you can rewind back to the beginning. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform. And also, yeah, make sure you're subscribed because we're doing this after basically every game. So after the Canucks play the Blues on Sunday night, that's how we'll end our weekend. About 9:30, 9:45 on Sunday night, we'll talk that game. And yeah, the Canucks have a few big games coming up, right? The Blues, the Oilers, the Jets, the Flames, all next week. So make sure you're tuned in for those. I think I'm going to wrap up there. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time.